Since we have mapped out more of outer space than the bottom of our own sea, the sea is a place full of mystery. Therefore, it should come as no great surprise that strange objects occasionally end up on our shores and coasts. Here are some of the oddest items to ever wash up on our shores, ranging from World War high artifacts to Ice Age and prehistoric remnants. Strange things that have washed ashore. This is surely a strange one. A Lockheed P38 Lightning jet from the USAF first spotted on Welsh coast beaches in 2010. During a training exercise in 1942, a fighter plane by the name of Maid of Harlech fell into the Welsh Sea. It was hidden by the waves until 2010, but as the coastline and seabed changed, the plane's location on the Gwynedd coast became apparent. To protect the crash, the fighter plane's exact location has been kept a secret. If you guys like this video, go and hit the like and subscribe button. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you don't miss out. A piece of driftwood washes ashore on the coastline of La Push in Washington in 2010, a small coastal community on the northwest coast of the state's westernmost peninsula. Now, I get what you're thinking. What's unusual or weird about a piece of driftwood? Well, it just so happened that the piece of driftwood in question was a huge, enormous tree that was at least 10 feet broad and several hundred feet tall. You can't help but wonder whether that enormous piece of driftwood is the biggest piece ever discovered when you take a closer look at it. This one came about in 2016 as a consequence of a very strange natural phenomena that blanketed 11 miles of the western Siberian shoreline off the Gulf of Ob with enormous snowballs. The idea that snowballs would just wash ashore from the sea defies logic. However, it happened as a result of tiny ice crystals growing in the water and then being rolled into large spherical balls by the wind and waves. The snowballs ranged in size from tennis ball-sized to 3-foot-wide frozen boulders. Locals in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, were a bit perplexed in 2017 when a 6 by 6 foot piece of rusted metal die washed up on their shoreline. Pipes protruded from the metal cube's one side, and the white dots were beautiful despite its considerable corrosion. A closer look revealed what seemed to be big white dots painted on an otherwise ordinary service box. Sam Gridley, a local of Coeur d'Alene who had seen the old storage tank washed up a few years prior to someone applying the white spots to it, verified this. Following this, some unusually heavy rain and flooding was sufficient to carry the massive dieback into the waves, where it later washed up again. The citizens of the English town of Hastings had a bit of a shock one morning in 1919, just after the end of the First World War, when they discovered a whole German U-boat beached on their shores. They were all rather enthusiastic since, for the most part, back then, a U-boat was something that most people had only ever heard about and never seen. In fact, it became so popular that the town clerk began charging people to take pictures on the deck. Even 2 Coast Guards began offering tours of the interior to dignitaries before falling sick and passing away soon after. Their fatalities are said to have been brought on by the U-battery's boats leaking chlorine gas. How then did this military device get up on the unassuming Hastings beachfront? The Imperial German Navy, which included this specific U-boat, U-118, was turned over to the Allies as hostilities in World War I came to a conclusion. The U-118 was to be moved to France and dismantled for scrap. However, severe weather forced its tow cables to break while it was being pulled through the English Channel towards Scupper Flow, leaving U-118 drifting around aimlessly in the water before washing ashore on the Hastings shoreline. Everyone has heard stories of messages in bottles that have washed up on the coast. Finding some shipwrecked explorers or a pirate's treasure is sometimes the start of a thrilling adventure in fiction, but in practice, it's generally just a small note that says you just lost the game or something as unimportant. However, there have been times when a watermelon with a letter inside has washed up on a beach. Given that the entire purpose of placing a message in a bottle in the first place is to keep it dry from the sea, the fact that melons inside are moist is quite strange. I'm very perplexed. One of the world's busiest shipping lanes for containers is the open ocean surrounding the Netherlands. Oh, they're also notorious for being prone to some of the world's most turbulent open sea weather. It seems like the ideal combination for items to go overboard and wash up on a shoreline. This is what was first thought to be the cause of the 2007 sighting of an 8-foot-tall, 1,000-pound Lego man washing up on the coast of Zandvoort, Netherlands. But over time, numerous more with the enigmatic title Ego Leonard started to show up on various beaches, from Brighton to Florida. It is unknown if Ego Leonard stands for the artist or the individual's names. However, there is also serious conjecture that the Lego men are the work of Dutch guerrilla artist Leon Kier. Nobody can say for sure, yet they have seemingly popped out of nowhere on beaches all across the world. Depending on how you look at it, a bag containing 54 hands or 27 pairs of hands washed ashore on the frigid Amur River banks in Siberia. The bag of severed hands was found by a fisherman in the spring of 2018, and the Russian Investigative Committee claims it was not of illegal origin, but were disposed of in a manner not permitted for by law. Near the hands, there were found hospital-style shoes, medical supplies, and bandages. Evidently, holding on to hands for a time after disposing of dead in order to preserve the fingerprint data is normal practice for forensic labs. Who knows how they got into the Amur River, though? More than a dozen human feet have washed up on the Salish Sea coastlines in British Columbia, Canada, since 2007. Even more terrifying than the fact that the feet are just washing up there is the reality that neither law enforcement, researchers, scientists, nor locals know where the feet are coming from. One hiking boot and 12 pairs of running shoes were on the 14 feet, none of which displayed any symptoms of damage. Scientists are finding more and more items that have been hidden for thousands of years as the ice caps continue to melt. Scientists discovered a cache of 9,000-year-old Mayan human bones back in 2018. Additionally, they discovered a number of Ice Age bones in a Mexican coastal cave that were tidally accessible. Given that this beach is located in Great Kills Park in Staten Island, it is perhaps not surprising that a robot body part washed up on there. The robot hand resembled the metallic, skeleton hand of the Terminator in some ways, although it was missing a few digits. The fact that the hand was the only robot body part to wash up is the strangest aspect of the whole situation.